All right, we're here. 2:02 Mountain Time. Holy cow, there's already 50 people in here. Hey, everybody, it's Jeremiah Taylor from the team here at Ojo. Welcome to our final masterclass of 2023. It's going to be a good one today. So, hey, as you join, let's see if anybody beats me to it. As you join, open up that chat and tell us
Chris,
where in the country are you
Chris,
joining from? Chris beat me. I love it. That's amazing. I was looking, somebody always beats me. Indiana, Austin, Texas, Roseville, California. Chris is in Austin. I see another Austin. I see another Tucson, Cape Cod, College Station, New York, Myrtle Beach. That's amazing. All right, we're over 200 now. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jeremiah Taylor. Thanks for joining us for our December masterclass. We have an amazing guest speaker for you today. As you join, look what others are doing, do like them, tell us where you're joining from. This lets us know that the chat is working, that you can communicate with us, we can communicate with you, you can hear us. It's awesome. This is great. Man, I love these. I love that there's at least 200 real estate agents working 3 weeks before Christmas. That is, I don't know that I would have taken the over under at 200 on this. But hey, with a name like Jeff Glover, people show up. That's how it goes. All right. For those of you who just joined, welcome. My name is Jeremiah Taylor. I'm part of the team here at Ojo. Thank you for joining us for our December masterclass. We'll get going here in about 30 seconds. We are recording today. So if for some reason, uh, you have to drop off in the middle, you're driving or whatever, we're going to record it. If there's someone you love that you think should hear this, you can send it to them at the end. It's great. Yes, everybody will get a copy of today's recorded webinar. Okay, 204. We're well over 200 people in the room. I want to give Jeff as much time as possible. So a little bit of housekeeping today. You're going to hear from my friend Jeff Glover. I'm going to let Chris introduce him. At the end of the call, we're going to talk to you about a merch giveaway. Now, this time is a little different. We're not going to ask you to chat that you're here. We're going to give you homework. We have a new learning system all about creating optionality for sellers using cash offers. For those of you that click the link and complete that learning system in the next 24 hours, you will be entered to win free Ojo merch. So stick around to the end. But for now, I'm going to pass over to my friend Chris Heller, say some words, and introduce Jeff.
we also might be able to give away a ticket to Jeff's conference that's coming up in January that people are going to want to know about and attend. So we'll save that for the end too. So hey everyone, Chris Heller. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time out of your week. We do these for one reason, and we tell you every time why we do them. We do them to add value to you, help you grow your business, help you be more effective, help you win in the market. Super excited about today. One of the reasons I'm so excited about today, I've known Jeff a long time. He was a young pup. He still looks like a young pup. Doesn't age. He has built one of the best businesses in the country. His team sells 1,000 homes a year. One thing that I've always admired about Jeff is he walks the talk. He still goes on appointments. He still sells houses along with the people on his team. And that makes what he does and what he talks about and what he teaches super relevant, super valid. So I could talk a lot more, make it a big, elaborate introduction, but this is someone you're going to want to take a lot of notes for. Don't rely on the recording, because I know most of you won't watch it anyways. Take notes and then watch the recording and share it with your teammates. So with that, Jeff, thanks for being here.
Awesome, Chris. First of all, I appreciate the kind words. You're not giving yourself enough credit, because what Chris doesn't know is that Chris and I would go to some of the same real estate conferences, and I would watch Chris on stage, and I would think to myself, I'm going to beat that guy one day. So thank you for the inspiration, Chris. And it's been fun watching your growth. And of course, now everything you're doing for the Ojo community. They're very fortunate to have you. And of course, all these agents are very lucky to be in relationship with you as well. So I was asked to put together notes specifically on, all right, Jeff, we really want to help our Ojo client base succeed in this new market. So could you collect your thoughts around what specifically they can do that's different than maybe most in this new market to have success? And so For those that aren't familiar, my name is Jeff Glover. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I've been listing and selling real estate now for 21 years. This May, I entered into my 21st year in the business. And as Chris said, yep, I'm still in it with you. In fact, in the last decade, forget about what my team's done. In the last decade, I've personally averaged 100 transactions a year myself over the last 10 years. And so per year. So what I'm going to share with you is not something I read in a Facebook group. It's not something I read in a book or heard from a mastermind. What I'm going to share with you is just simply what I'm doing and what we're doing to win right now. And so I wrote down 5 keys to winning in the new market. If you want to take notes and write these down, 5 keys to winning in the new market. Now, the first one, I'm probably going to lose a third of the room on the first one because, by the way, speaking of room, we just finished up in Fresno, California. If I turn the camera that way, you'd see all the seats. Everyone just cleared out of here. And we talked a lot about what I'm going to share with you here. But if I share the first one, I'm going to lose about a third of you because you're, this is basics. I've heard about this a million times. All right. I've saved a good speaker and trainer knows to save the best for last. Now, I will tell you this. I'm starting with number 1. I actually believe number 1 is the most important. So I'm starting with the most important first, but it's not the sexiest. So we're going to talk about 5 keys to win in the new market. Starting with number 1, write this down, please. We must have a bulletproof mindset filled with emotional resilience. We must have a bulletproof mindset filled with emotional resilience. Now, here's the deal. I know you've heard about mindset your whole career. You got to, I've heard this for years. You got to have a checkup from the neck up and, it all starts up here. And so we've heard this a million times, but really, honestly, when is the last time you wrote yourself your own personal prescription for a strong mindset? Think about that for a second. We've heard we got to have a strong mindset. We know we got to have one because you can't possibly have constant positive production with a negative mindset. It just doesn't happen. But honestly, when is the last time you actually wrote yourself a prescription for a strong mindset? Meaning, like, think of it like this. All right. If you tell me, Jeff, I want to have bigger biceps, a trainer is going to say, you got to do curls, right? You want to have bigger biceps, you got to do curls. But no one really gives us a prescription for a strong mind. Like, we've heard we have to have a strong mind, but how do we have a strong mind? So I'm going to actually give you a prescription right now. If you would write these down. Number 1, moving forward into 2024, I want you to break this habit because so many of you do this. I see you commenting, chatting, all this stuff. You got to stop watching the news and reading negative threads in Facebook groups. All right. With the exception of Ojo, with the exception of the Glover U Inner Circle, with the exception of the positive and productive ones, most of them today are negative. Knock it off. Stop hanging out in those. Stop engaging. The people that participate in those conversations are the ones that aren't selling any real estate anyways. So who cares what they have to say? So if we want to have a prescription for a bulletproof mindset filled with emotional resilience, we got to stop watching the news and reading threads, negative threads in Facebook groups. We'll call that 1A. 1B. My recommendation is there's 5 days a week that you're going to be getting in your car and driving somewhere, driving to an appointment, driving to a showing, driving to a closing. My recommendation is that you're going to listen to 1 podcast per day moving forward. You're going to have your favorite Monday podcast, your favorite Tuesday podcast, your favorite Wednesday podcast, your favorite Thursday. You're going to have 1 designated podcast per day. And you can pick and choose. I don't care if they're leadership. I don't care if they're sales focused, because with podcasts, you can control what's going in your mind. When you turn on the radio, when you're listening to, you have no idea what they're going to say when you listen to news radio or when you listen to commercials. You have no idea what they're going to say. So 1 podcast per day. By the way, we have a podcast. It's called the Live Unreal Podcast by Glover U. For those of you that listen to podcasts, make that 1. All right. And make that your Monday podcast. And then have a Tuesday podcast and have a Wednesday podcast. 1 podcast per day. 1C. We have to quit hanging around negative people. We're spending way too much time with people that aren't doing anything productive. We got to quit hanging around negative people. 1D, how do I do that, Jeff? Here's a solution. You got to get to conferences. There's a reason why the best of the best agents get out of their environments, they hop on a plane, and they get to conferences. 1E, we cannot be attached to the outcome. Somebody asked, what's the podcast? It's called Live Unreal by Glover U. Live Unreal by Glover U. We have a new episode once per week. Most podcasts drop a new episode each week. We can't be attached to the outcome. All right. We have to know that things are going to sometimes go our way and sometimes they're not going to go our way. right? You've probably heard the saying before, you can't always control your first thought, but you can control your second. So what are you doing to consciously stop that train of thought if it's a negative thought? Number one, we'll say 1F. Read 1 to 2 pages out of a self-help book per day. This is a prescription for a strong mindset. 1 to 2 pages out of a self-help book per day. Now, I'm not a great book reader. In fact, I do most of my book reading when I'm on planes and they don't have Wi-Fi. All right. Or if in between, when you get to 10,000 feet, you got like 20 minutes before you're at your gate. That's when I get my reading in. At a minimum, read 1 to 2 pages a day. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. You never know what thought or what sentence you're going to read that's going to trigger something positive in your mind. And then finally, join or create a mindset mastermind group. I've had the good fortune, I know Chris was part of them as well, to join a mindset group where people are actually consciously working on their mind. They're actually working on their skills. Join or create a mindset mastermind group. By the way, you want to take your town by storm? Be the first broker or team lead in your town to create a mindset mastermind group. Invite all the co-op agents to be a part of it. All right, so I'm going to share with you 5 keys to winning in the new market. 2, 3, 4, and 5 don't matter unless we get right with number 1. And I'm going to go through these very quickly. However, that one, in my opinion, is the most important. It's not the sexiest because we've heard about mindset forever. It's not the sexiest, but I believe it's the most important because none of what I'm going to share matters unless we get right with number 1. All right, number 2, ready? To win in the new market, we have to understand in this new market, yes, in 2024, sales skills will be my number 1 asset in the new market. Write that down. 2024. What? You're not talking about Chat GTP and AI and all this other stuff? What are you, crazy? Where are you coming up with this sales skills stuff? Watch this. When a market gets softer, the need for what we do increases and the need for a great salesperson gets even higher. Why? Because consumers want to do business with someone that's good at their craft. Well, watch this. Sales skills does not have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be feared. It doesn't have to be anything that's kind of like, 90s cheesy sales line. I think of sales skills the modern way like this. Ready? Write these down. There's 3 things that I consider as having good sales skills today. Number 1, asking great questions in a methodical order. Sales skills today can be summed up at these 3 things. Number 1, asking great questions in a methodical order. The good news is most scripts today have been written by people that have tested them and they are in methodical orders. If you get a chance to get your hands on our scripts, we update them every 18 months. All right. You can go online to gloveru.com. All of our resources are there. We update them every 18 months. Why? Because I'm in the trenches with you and I know the way we say things affect how consumers respond today versus maybe in the last market. Asking great questions in a methodical order is number 1. Number 2, actively listening to their answers. Actively listening to their answers. Now, again, I know my top producers are thinking, okay, come on, Chris, didn't you screen this guy? Didn't you tell him like we have a bunch of top producers on? You're having the guy come on and tell me I got to be a better listener. I can prove we can all be better listeners. Watch this. In the last 90 days, think of it for a second. In the last 3 months, have you met someone for the first time? And within, you shook their hand, you looked them in the eye, they introduced themselves to you, you introduced themselves to them. Within 10 seconds, you forgot their name. Did that ever happen? That happened to you in the last 90 days? It's happened to me. It's happened to all of us. Why is that? Well, because instead of listening to what they're saying, what we're doing is, yeah, there we go, Kelly. Yes. We're actually, all of us, anyone who says no to that is lying. You're Pinocchio, right? In the last 90 days, if you have met someone for the first time, you shook their hand, you looked them in the eye, you forgot their name, that's because you're busy thinking about what you're going to say next instead of listening to what they're going to say. So how can I overcome that? I can overcome that by number 3, going 3 deep. Write it down. I'll explain. Go 3 deep. So number 1 is asking great questions in methodical order. Number 2 is actively listening to their answers. And number 3 is going 3 deep. What do I mean by that? What that means is when you see a question on a script, okay, a common question on a script looks like this. Where are you moving to? Normally the next question on the script is, how soon would you like to be there? Well, what I'm recommending you do is you're going to insert 2 to 3 questions within each question on the script. So instead of where are you moving to and then how soon do you want to be there, it's where are you moving to? How did you happen to pick that area? Who else do you know in that area? How long have you been planning a move to that area? I'm going 2 to 3 questions deep within the questions on the script before I even go to the next question. What does that do? Number 1, that causes me to stand out amongst the competition who's just all following the same scripts. Number two, I'm building a higher level rapport with the consumer because now we're actually engaging in a real conversation versus just a Q&A by following a script. So sales skills does not have to be complicated, feared, tricky, any of this stuff. It's asking great questions in a methodical order. It's actively listening to their answers, and it's going 3 deep. And never forget this. People make decisions. That's right, finding their why. People make decisions on who they're going to hire. Never forget this. Ready? I don't care how good you are, how smart you are, how many homes you've sold, how many awards you've won, how many pictures of cats you have in your photo on your business card. People make decisions on who they're going to hire based on how you make them feel. Well, how do you make someone feel a certain way? Based on what you say. So therefore, sales skills need to be looked at as what I say is going to make someone feel a certain way. So speaking of sales skills, I'm going to give you a couple scripts right now that everyone on this webinar, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it later, needs to master. And that is, by the way, by chance, in the last 90 days, has any buyer, show of hands, in the last 90 days, or just throw something in the chat, in the last 90 days, has anyone heard this one? Ready? We want to wait until interest rates come down. Has anybody heard that one in the last 90 days? We want to wait until interest rates come down. Yes, every day. Yes, multiple times. Exactly. Okay, well, here's your response moving forward when you hear that. I'm going to give you actually 3 responses. Ready? Number 1 is this. What happens, and by the way, I want you to use them in this order because they're designed to warm up the prospect, okay? Number 1, what happens if you wait and they go up? You want to wait until interest rates come down? I understand that. What happens if you wait and they go up? And then I want you to put in the parentheses, explain buyers in 2022 who said that. Explain the 2022 buyers, because there were buyers in 2022 when interest rates were creeping over 5, creeping over 6, who said, we're going to wait and see what happens with these interest rates. We were about to buy a house at 3.5%, and now they went up to 6%. So we're going to wait until they come down. Do you know those same buyers who waited a year are now paying 7.5 or 8%? Obviously, as you guys know that. So first things first, I'm going to start with what happens if you wait and they go up. And let's just say they don't respond favorably to that, or that doesn't work, or that doesn't get you anywhere. Okay. So what's the next question I'm going to ask them? Ready? Okay. I'll write this down. You're the blank line. You're the blank line. And in my case, I use the number 7 because I know it's always more than 7. You're the 7th person this week to tell me that. And can I tell you why that concerns me? You're the 3rd person today. You're the 5th person this week. You're the 9th person this month to tell me that. And can I tell you why that concerns me? You're the blank person. Well, Jeff, I don't talk to that many people. Well, watch. If you belong to a company that has other real estate agents, that was a joke, all of us do, then somebody is being told that. So then just say you're the 7th person this week that we have had tell us that. And can I tell you why that concerns me? Sure. Why is that? Well, if everyone is waiting for interest rates to decline, if everyone is on the fence waiting for rates to come down, what do you think will happen to demand when they finally do? If everyone is waiting for rates to come down, what do you think will actually happen to demand when they finally do? Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I guess demand would go up, right? Absolutely. And then now I want you to write down in parentheses, reference 2021 market. Just because it's wordy. So I'm going to give you the script, but you'll know what to do. Just reference 2021 market. If everyone waits for rates to go down, what do you think will happen when they finally do? Demand will go up. And do you know what happened last time rates came down? Last time rates came down in 2021, when they came down to 3%, 3.5%, do you know what happened? Prices skyrocketed. Prices went up 30, 40, 50% in most markets. Buyers were paying $30, $50, $100,000 over the home's value just to secure a house. And you understand the same thing will happen when rates go down and demand goes up. So that was referencing 2021. So now let me put a close on this script for you. So here's how you close this one out. So my question is, would you rather buy now when prices are fair? So my question is, would you rather buy now while prices are fair and refinance later, or wait like everyone else? Or would you rather buy now while prices are fair, or wait with everyone else? And I'm going to give you one more sentence to put a little bow on this one. Ready? Because because you can always refinance a mortgage. You cannot renegotiate a purchase price. So would you rather buy now while prices are fair and refinance later, or wait until prices go up with everyone else? Because you can always refinance a mortgage. You cannot renegotiate a purchase price. Think about all those buyers that paid $50,000, $100,000, $75,000, $150,000 over a home's value. They are stuck throwing that money away. All right. So there's some buyer objection. The other one I want to give you on is the seller objection. By chance, in the last 6 months, has anybody heard, well, we can always start it a little higher and come down later, right? Anybody ever heard that one in the last 90 days? Yeah, we all have. We can always start higher and come down. This is on the seller side. Okay, write this down. Days on market is the enemy to a home's value. Days on market is the enemy to a home's value. And so what I want you to do is, after you write down days on market is the enemy to a home's value, just put in parentheses. I'm not going to have you write out the whole script. Just put in parentheses, put yourself in the shoes of a buyer. Put yourself in the shoes of a buyer. What does that mean? Okay, so here's how it sounds. Again, you don't have to write all this down because you understand what put yourself in the shoes of the buyer mean. So here's what I do. I'll ask a seller. I'm at the kitchen table. All right, I just used this one 3 days ago. I was on a listing appointment on Monday before I left town. Days on, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, were you aware that days on market is the enemy to your home's value? I don't know. What does that mean? Well, let me ask you a question. When you bought this house, how long ago did you buy this house? Oh, it was 7 years ago. Okay, this is a role play at a kitchen table. Ready? A real play. 7 years ago, you bought the house, right? Yep, I sure did. When you bought this house, what were some questions that you had for your agent? Now, I wasn't the agent. It was an expired or something like that. What were some questions before you wrote your offer that you had? And here's what they said. Well, we wanted to know the age of the furnace. We wanted to know the age of the roof. Any other questions you had? We probably wanted to know if the neighborhood was safe. Okay. Detroit, we get that a lot. By the way, yes, I'm from Detroit. No, I've never been shot. And yes, I'm okay. All right. I get the question all the time. Well, we want to know if the neighborhood is safe. Okay, that's fair. By chance, were you at all curious as to how long the home had been on the market? Oh, yeah. We definitely always look at days on market. And why did you want to know how long the home had been on the market? And it's like right in that moment, like a light bulb goes off. Why were you curious as to how long the home had been on the market? Well, and here's what they said. Because if it had been on the market for a while, then we could probably get a better, and I'm telling you, like clockwork, they said, I see where you're going with this. Yeah, if it had been on the market for a while, we could probably get a better deal. And then don't you think most buyers are going to feel just like you? Of course they are. So days on market is actually the enemy to your home's value. I recommend every single appointment you go on, you help them understand that. Even if you take a listing and you think you've priced it right, you say something to the effect of, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're not going to know the true value of your home until we put it out there and see how buyers respond. Buyers are going to respond in one of a couple ways, and then you tell them how they'll respond. And oh, by the way, days on market is the enemy to your home's value. Can I explain that? If you set the stage up front, going back for a price reduction later over the phone is a cinch because they're already mentally prepared for it. All right, that's enough on sales skills. Let's get to number 3. Number 3 is presentation skills. And I'm not talking about your listing appointment, your buyer appointment. That's for another day. I'm talking about your presentation online and on social media. There was a day, and Chris, you remember these days, there was a day when we would go on an appointment and the seller they would wait to make their decision after they hear what they have to say. They would wait to make their decision after they interview 2 or 3 agents. They would hear what they have to say, and then they maybe would ask their neighbors, or they maybe would take to Google to do a little bit of research on us. Today, do you understand when you show up for a listing appointment, when you meet a buyer for a buyer consultation, their decision is already halfway made up. It's just I call it a confirmation appointment. When I have an opportunity to go meet with a seller, I know before I even get there, in their mind, they're either thinking they're going to hire me or they're thinking they're not going to like me. I already know that. Why? Because today, consumers are Instagramming, Facebooking, TikToking. They're doing everything they can to find you on social media. So when is the last time you did a social media audit? where you actually took to Facebook, where you actually took to Google and you Googled your first name, your last name, and you added real estate to it. What comes up on page 1? What comes up on page 2? There was a day where it didn't matter. They were interviewing 4 agents and they're going to pick from one of the 4 based on what we say. Today, they're picking from one of the 4 based on what they see online first. And then what we say is just confirmation. Watch. It goes like this. I knew I was going to like that guy. I knew I was going to like her. I knew I didn't have a good feeling about him. I knew I didn't have a great feeling about her, because their mind is already halfway made up when you get there. So what does your presentation look like on social media? What are they researching? What are they seeing before you get there? Speaking of social media, let's shift gears to number 4, which is social media and video. All right, I'm going to share with you some quick tactics to help you win with those. Number 1, moving forward, every single person on this Zoom should be creating a very important client Facebook group. All right, everyone's got a past client sphere of influence database. Sure, you've got it in your CRM, you got it in Excel, sheets, whatever. Everyone moving forward should have a very important client Facebook group. It's just another way to stay in front of and touch your clients. Everything we send out, every event we have, every mailing we have, every single thing we do is driving them to join the Facebook group. We send them something in the mail. It's got a QR code on it, something that there's a QR code they're scanning and to join the group. Why do they want to join the group? Because we're doing giveaways in that group. We're giving giveaways for our best clients in that group. So we're giving them incentive to join. Why do I want them in there? Well, because you can create the best social media stuff. If they're not seeing it, who cares? It doesn't matter. Speaking of seeing your social media, write this down. I want you to stop. Watch. Hear me loud and clear on this. This part you don't have to write down. I'm going to give you a solution in a second. If your idea of being a great agent on social media is putting together and posting great Canva images, you're going to get left behind in 2024. In fact, I believe that in the next 18 months, agents who are primarily using Canva and those programs to create images with words and phrases and .coms on them, you're going to get left behind. Why? Because watch, the minute you slap a logo, a phone number, a website, or whatever on a Canva image, you're telling Instagram, you're telling Facebook, you're telling the world you're trying to sell them something. People like to buy, but they don't like to be sold. So therefore, what am I telling agents to do? Start posting all raw, no filters, no numbers, no .coms, all raw stuff, and even better, video. Okay. You've probably heard about video a lot, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but my recommendation, we just finished up our top producer business plan here in Fresno. I'm going to be in LA tomorrow for anyone that's in the LA area, or San Diego if you want to make the drive up. Anyways, we just finished going through this top producer business plan, and what I recommended to everyone was 1 video per week minimum. 1 video per week minimum, and have a theme for each week of the month. Week 1 is maybe you're sharing market stats. Well, that wouldn't be week 1 because you're usually not out by then. Week 1 is you're going live from an open house. Week 2 is market stats. Week 3 is a client testimonial. Week 4 is something personal. 1 video per week if you want to stand out. And write this down. Don't laugh, but write it down. Hamburger, not hot dog. Just write it down. I'll explain. Hamburger, not hot dog. We're talking social media strategies. Hamburger, not hot dog, right? You might remember from school. All right, kids, turn your paper hamburger style. Turn your paper hot dog style. With social media, ready? Hamburger is good. No hot dogs. Hamburger is good. No hot dog. Why? Because the second you take a photo horizontally, you're taking a horizontal photo. People don't scroll left and right on Instagram and Facebook. They scroll up and down. So you're immediately killing your engagement by posting a photo that's not even formatted correctly for their platform. No more hot dog. All right. If you have to take a photo like this, fine. You can pinch the sides in to make the photo taller. That will help. But you can take them like this and just pinch the screen and zoom out. Also, do me a favor, write this down. Taco selfies. Just write it down. I'll explain. Taco selfies. You want more engagement on social media? Do you know the #1 thing that gets engagement on social media is selfies? Why? Because it's close up on faces. Close up on faces gets the best engagement on social media. Do you want to increase your engagement on your selfies? Taco selfies. What's a taco selfie? Well, think about it. If this is a hot dog, okay, if this is a hot dog, I'm sorry, if this is a hamburger and this is a hot dog, how do you eat a taco? You don't eat a taco like straight on, like num, num, num. You eat a taco on an angle. Why do we eat tacos on angles? Because there's normally a plate. When stuff falls out, it falls into the plate. So a taco selfie moving forward, you're going to take your phone and you're going to tilt it just a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. Taco selfie. Think of an angled selfie. All right. Those will absolutely get you more engagement on social media. I can promise you that. Also, if you want to get better at social media, you got to get good at writing copy. You got to get good at writing copy. In fact, I'm suggesting to agents today, instead of just practicing and role-playing scripts, which some of you need work with that, and that's fine. Some of you are like, no, Jeff, I know it's everyone's hungry now. I'm thinking about tacos and margaritas. Instead of just practicing and role-playing scripts, I actually want you to write copy. I want you to write 30 minutes of copy per day. Maybe you're not going to use it. Maybe sometimes you're going to use it. Sometimes you're not going to use it. We follow a copywriting formula. It's something we've been teaching audiences for years. And for the sake of time, I'm going to give you the formula. If you just go to gloveru.com/social, the whole formula is in there. It's got all kinds of hooks. I got a bunch of examples of hooks for you. If you go to gloveru.com/social, it's like a 10-page social media guide, everything you want to know for social media. I'm just trying to be mindful of our time. Everything that's working right now for real estate agents on social media can be found in there. Again, that's gloveru.com/social. Yep, there it is. Thanks, Jenna. Okay, the last thing I want to leave you with, 5 keys to winning in the new market. When is the last time you completed a database audit? Think about this for a second. You've had your CRM on autopilot. You've done pie giveaways. You've done different things. You've done phone calls. You're doing stuff to stay in touch with your database. I understand that. When is the last time you actually wrote out on a whiteboard everything you do to add value to your database? What I want you to do under number 5 is, point number 5 is complete a database audit. Complete a database audit. What do I mean by a database audit? Well, what I want everyone to do right now in your workbook or where you're taking notes or in your computer, whatever, I want you to write down the number of people in your past client and sphere of influence database. Okay. I'm going to do this. I'll do this with you. Write down how many people are in your past client and sphere of influence database. Okay. Just for sake of simplicity, I'm going to say I've got 300 in mind. Okay. So write down however many are in your past client sphere of influence database. Now, underneath that, I want you to write the number 0.08 and draw a line. So maybe you have 500, maybe you have 1,000, maybe you're newer and you only have 100. That's fine. Whatever your number is, I want you to write 0.08 underneath it. And I want you to take out your calculators. And I want you to calculate whatever number you wrote down times 0.08. So in this case, I wrote down 300 times 0.08 is 27. So write down your calculation. I want you to circle it. Okay, you got your calculation, 300 times 0.08 or 400 times 0.08 or 1,000 times 0.08. So in this case, 300 times 0.08 is 27. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to think about in 2023, how many deals will you do from your database? How many deals will you do from that same group? So if I have 300 past clients in center of influence, how many deals am I going to do from that group? And let's just say, for the sake of exercise, 8 times 3 is 24. Yes. Thank you. It's so funny. No wonder why. So on this whiteboard over here, I wrote down 27 and everyone was like looking around. Thank you for that. I was wondering, like, did I just get my math wrong? Oh my gosh. Danica, my assistant, is over there laughing at me right now. Okay. 24. Thank you. I did it twice today. 8 times 3. Duh. Okay. So now what I want you to think about is how many deals will you do from that same group? In this case, let's just say I'm going to do 10 this year. Okay. I'm going to do 10 deals for my past client and sphere, not your CRM, not your internet leads, 10 deals for my past client sphere. Okay, good. So now I'm going to subtract the 10 deals I'm going to do from the 24, not 27, the 24 that I wrote down. And that's going to leave me the number 14. Okay. You follow along? So this is how many are in my database times 0.08 equals 24 minus how many deals I'm going to do for my database, 14 left over. Now what I want you to do with that number that you have left over at the bottom, I want you to multiply that by your average commission check. Now, clearly I'm bad at math, so I'm going to multiply mine times 10,000 because any other number I might have trouble with. Multiply that number times your average commission check. So in this case, that works out to 140, and I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of it, 140,000. Okay. So you're going to take the number that you have left over times your average commission check, in this case, 140,000. And I want you to circle that number. Okay, circle that number 10 times, 5 times, whatever. Circle that number. Throw in the chat right now what number you have written down that you circled. I want to see some of your dollar amounts. 50,000, 80,000, 200,000, 76,000. Throw in the chat some dollar amounts. 56,000. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Most cases I see, 280. All right, Chris, 280, 50K. Yep. 250K. All right, good. Yeah. Usually it's somewhere between 50 and 150, depending on your average sales price. Okay. Good. 103,000. Thanks, Mike. Here's what I know. 80,000. That number you just circled, that's how much money you're leaving on the table by not treating your database correctly. Because this number up here represents how many deals you should be doing for your database. 8% of your database should be transacting business with you or referring you. By the way, this number, the 8% hasn't been around long. There used to be an old rule. Chris, you remember this, the database, the golden rule of 10%. By the way, there's still probably trainers out there preaching it because they're not selling real estate right now. It's been updated. It's 8%. Why? Because technology has driven a little bit of a wedge between our loyalty from our clients and us as real estate agents. So what the 8% rule, it's no longer 10%. What the 8% rule says that 8% of my business, of my database should transact or refer me every single year. And if I'm not getting 8%, then I'm leaving money on the table. So how do I get more business from my database? I'm going to give you my 3-part formula, and then we're going to open up for questions. How do I get more business from my database? Well, you can either A, simply play the numbers game and add more people to it. I know it's basic, but yes, that's how you can make more money from your database. We have, as part of our culture within our team, Chris, I know you'll appreciate this. You've always had a great accountability and structure with your team. Every morning at 7:25, our team calls in. All right. I still run the call every morning, and they have to report the following. Ready? Contacts made, appointments set, appointments gone on, contracts signed. And the 5th one that they have to report is add to database. How many people did you add to the database the previous year? So could you set up a reminder in your phone every day at the end of the day, or maybe first thing in the morning? Who could you add to the database today? It's part of our culture. Watch this. If you add 1 person per day times 250 working days, you're going to have 1,000 people added in 4 years. And if you treat them right, we're going to talk about that in a second. If you treat them right, you're going to get to 8%. By the way, just to give you an example, we have 6,000 people in our database today. We're going to do 437 transactions from our database this year. That works out to about 7.5%. So watch this. That's part A. Part B, getting more business in your database. Part B, adding value to the people that are already there. Adding value to the people that are already there. So watch. What are you doing to add value to that group? And if your idea of adding value, okay, I'm not going to ask you to volunteer, but if in the calendar year of 2023, with the exception of, I guess, Arizona, if you send a reminder to your database to set their clocks back, it's probably time for a database audit. I mean, honestly, when is the last time you needed a reminder to set your clocks back? So instead, what I'm going to recommend you to do, because the clocks set themselves back automatically. So what I'm going to recommend that you do is every month, all right, the month of January, the month of February, I'll show you a portion of our business plan. You're going to do something of value every month, every January, every February, every March, every April, just one thing. I don't care if you're using the 36, 78, 97 touch program, whatever. I don't care what program you're using. A minimum once per month, add value to your database. And it better be stuff that you would get value from. We play this game with our operations team every year. It's called Would I Get Value? And we actually go all the way back to January of 2023, and we write out on the whiteboard using a Sharpie or whatever, and I guess it'd be a dry erase marker, writing out on the whiteboard, would I get value from this? And then we go back and we write down everything we did each month to that group. And we remove stuff that people are like, no, I would not get value from this giveaway or that giveaway. No, let's remove that. 3 ways you can get more business from a database. Number 1, add people to it. Just simply play the numbers game. Number 2, add value to the people that are already there. Or number 3, ready? Do number 1 and 2 simultaneously. The best of the best have figured out how to add people and add value. Most agents are good at one or the other. Okay. By the way, I wasn't good at adding value. I was good at adding people, but not adding value. Most agents are the opposite. Most agents are good at adding value, but not adding people. If you get good at both, you will absolutely see a dramatic increase in your database business next year. And it's important because our database business is being tested now more than ever because of all the advancements in technology and real estate today. So those are the 5 keys. When I look at everything we're doing to win, all right, just to give you an idea, in the last 90 days, we've taken 227 listings in our market in the last 90 days. 227. We have 31 salespeople. I don't have this team of like 100 agents. We have 31 salespeople. 227 listings. When I look at where they're coming from and what we're doing differently from our mindset to our sales skills, if you get the chance to come up to Detroit, if you were going to interview our competitors, say, hey, what is it that Jeff and his team does differently? They'd say, oh gosh, he teaches them all how to sell. He teaches them how to sell. He teaches them how to sell. Those are the 5 keys to winning in the new market. I will shut up and open the floor now, and I'm sure Chris or Jeremiah has some things to add as well. So hopefully you guys got some value from that.
Hey, first of all, Jeff, thank you. There were so many nuggets there, and I was just just thinking, I hope my team is watching and listening, and I hope they're prepared to talk to me later about some of the things they're going to implement that they haven't. So that was awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, while we're waiting for any questions, if you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A. We'll watch chat too, for those of you who can't figure out where the Q&A is. Jeff, I want to ask you a question. Your team does a lot of lead generation. You also guys get leads from different sources. You get leads from Ojo.
Yeah, we do.
I want to talk about 2 things in regards to that. One is, on that initial call, what's the general like training and messaging that you tell your team when they're getting an internet lead or call that someone from they don't know?
Yeah. Well, number one, especially if it's on the buy side, we're always closing for an appointment first. We're not pushing for a buyer consultation. Today's consumer, Chris, they can go online on their phone and click a few buttons and download an app. And next thing you know, they can be out showing a house with another agent. So we're not messing around with this long-term follow-up plan. We're going right for an appointment with every single person we talk to, because we know we got one chance or we don't. Now, don't get me wrong, especially with your system. Fortunately, there's a lot of things working on the back end to stay in touch with those leads. But when we got a live one, we're going right for the appointment to see the house, whether we know whether they're pre-approved or not. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to show it without a pre-approval. We follow an ALM model: appointment first, location second, motivation third. We're going right for the appointment every single time, and our agents are setting more appointments by just going there versus how long you've been looking, who's your lender, what have you written any offers on? No, people don't want that. They want to go right for it. So we are preaching and having success with just go right for the appointment. And if they don't give it to you, then talk about location, then talk about motivation, but always lead with going for an appointment.
I love it. I love it. Music to my ears. Second question is follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
General philosophy. Yeah, I see agents saying, oh, they didn't respond, so I stopped calling them after 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. And it makes me,
yes.
Well,
what's our follow-up? Very simple. We follow a 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. 3 calls, 3 texts, 3 emails, all within 3 days. 3 calls, 3 texts, 3 emails, all within 3 days at all different times. Because here's what I know, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, especially with this group, because you got a lot of great trained agents that use Ojo leads. Just as important as speed to lead. See, people have been preaching for too long, Chris. Speed to lead, speed to lead, speed to lead. Speed to lead's important. I would actually argue today, and I bet you guys have data on this, and I would love to see it. If you put 2 agents side by side, here's what I'm proclaiming. And I want Ojo to go to work to back this up, because I bet you got data on this. If you put 2 agents side by side, one agent is speed to lead king or queen. I mean, they're like on it within seconds every single time a lead comes through. However, they forget to follow up. That's they're one and done. 1 call, 1 text, 1 email, and that's it. You put that agent side by side with an agent who's maybe not speed to lead. Okay, maybe their average response time is 27 minutes, 37 minutes, whatever. However, when they get a lead, they're like a dog on a bone. 3 calls, 3 texts, 3 emails in the morning, afternoon. Try them again at night. Try them in the morning. Try afternoon. I believe this is what I'm proclaiming. All right, just from what I'm observing, from our experience, the agent that treats frequency of the follow-up as just as important, if not more important than speed to lead, that agent's going to win the game more often than the agent that focuses on speed to lead and doesn't follow up.
And then what happens after those 3 days?
3 calls, 3 texts, 3 emails, 3 days, and then it's out of sight, out of mind. Then we let the CRM do the work. And if they come back to us, great. And if they don't, that's fine too.
Got it. All right. Let's see. Sherry asked the question, what are 3 things of value that your team uses? Because you talked about, delivering value.
Yeah. So obviously we have client events like many teams do. So we do, our agents do small little client events, like, they rent out a movie theater or a bowling alley or, just a little, we have client events. We have giveaways. So once a month in our very important client Facebook group, I'll go live and I'll pick, that calendar that has all the stupid days on it, like National Pizza Day, National Hot Dog Day, whatever. I'll pick one of those, like National Margarita Day. Here's an example. I go live in our very important client Facebook group. Why? Because when you go live in your very important client Facebook group, people get notified. I go live in there and say, hey guys, next week, I don't know if you know this, in addition to like one of the most prestigious holidays of the year, and just pick a holiday, there's also this other holiday that people are forgetting about, and it's National Margarita Day. So I want to hear your favorite tequila. Comment below with your favorite tequila. Next week, we're going to do a drawing, and I'm going to ship you a bottle of your favorite tequila. It costs me $100, $200, $150, $80, whatever. We do a drawing, and it creates a lot of engagement in our Facebook group. So once a month, we're doing something of value, whether it's a mailing of what's going on in the market, whether it's a giveaway, whether it's a client event, something of value once per month. Just one thing of value. Don't complicate it.
Love it. Love it. Christy asked, at your 7:25 check-in call, what were the things that you check in on?
All right. 7:25 check-in call, contacts made from the previous day, appointments set, appointments gone on, contract signed, and add to database. How many contacts did you make? How many appointments did you set? How many did you go on? How many did you get signed? And how many people did you add? By the way, a lot of times it's, hey, I had 14 contacts, 1 set, none met, none signed, 2 added. That's okay. You don't have to go on an appointment every single day. It's just we're reporting, we call them the Fab 5.
Got it. Let's see. What were the check-ins? Looking for other questions I missed.
There was one, like, Jeff, talk more about video. I think a lot of times agents get in their head about, like, well, how long should my video be? What should it be about? What should it be? Like,
Watch it.
how do you
Listen,
get started?
Write this down. Facts tell, but stories sell. Facts tell, but stories sell. Don't complicate it. Just I had an agent, his name's Matt. I said, Matt, don't complicate it. Don't overthink it. Just tell a story. And so he said, okay, I'm going to try it. He left a walkthrough and they were heading to closing. He said, Jeff, it dawned on me that my buyer bought a for sale by owner. And I thought about how much money that seller left on the table by selling by owner. He said, so I just didn't complicate it. I just turned on my phone. I went live and said, hey guys, I'm leaving a walkthrough and heading to a closing. And I just want to share an experience with you. And he talked about how the for sale by owner probably ended up leaving money on the table, but he's so happy for his buyer because his buyer got an offer accepted. The point is just think of a scenario in your real estate business, a home inspection, a negotiation, why someone's moving up, why someone's moving down, and tell a story. Don't overthink it. Don't complicate it. If you want to get really good at it, start writing copy each day. It's only going to take, by the way, I'm recommending to agents to set aside 30 minutes a day for writing copy. So if you get good at writing copy, next thing you know, you're going to be fine taking out your camera phone or whatever and doing video because you're so good at writing copy.
Awesome.
Love
Awesome.
What else? Jeff was so succinct, talked so slow. There were so few items of value. I'm sure there's not a lot of questions, but I would expect more. You were like a nugget every 15 seconds. Have a full page of notes. Don't be shy. Ask your question.
People ask me all the time, how is it, because it's like, by the way, if you find me on social media, it doesn't say coach or trainer. It says realtor. I'm a realtor first and a trainer and a coach second. And so people ask me, where do you come up with all this content? Like our top producer business plan. They're like, where do you come up with this stuff? We live it. We do it every day. I just share what we do. If you guys get the chance, come to one of our events or follow us at Glover U. You're going to see what we're all about.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I mentioned at the beginning of the call, you have a big event coming up in January in Phoenix. What are the dates?
January 15th through the 18th.
And
It's
how
at-
do, if someone wants information on that, where do they go? How do they?
You go to gloveru.com/summit. gloveru.com/summit. It's our Live Unreal Summit. Tickets are only $4.99. I mean, most events today, as you guys know, are $1,000, $1,500 to get to events. Our tickets are very reasonable. Our room rate's super cheap. The room rates, we've negotiated a $299 a night room rate. So we've done that for all of our guests. We'll have over 1,000 agents there from all over North America. Every brand is represented. I don't care if you're with Century 21, Keller Williams, eXp Real, every single company is represented there.
That's awesome. Great way to start off the new year.
Yep. That's why we put it in the beginning of January.
Yep. All right. Speaking of January, here we are, December 6th. And what are you telling agents that they need to be focused on between now and, January 1st?
So number one, by the way, every single morning call right now, Chris, I started off today's morning call. All right, welcome everybody. It's the 6th business day of 2024. Let's go ahead and get started. We should all be operating from our business plan starting now, not January 5th, not January 10th. What you're doing right now is going to be a reflection of what shows up in January, February. If you want to start off, first of all, at the end of last year, I predicted that sales would be down 30%. And I told in this year, and I told agents to up their contacts by at least 30% if you don't want to be a victim of the market. Now watch. Of course, we had a lot of people in the industry, whatever. We'll see what happens. And sure enough, they're down 30 or 40% because the market's down 30 or 40%. I believe next year will be down somewhere between an additional 15 and 20%. And so therefore we have to increase our activities by that amount if we want to do the same. Well, Jeff, I don't want to do the same. I want to do more. Okay. Well, if the market's going to be down, let's say worst case scenario, 20%, you want to increase your business by 20%, you're actually going to have to increase your daily contacts by 40%. You're going to increase your appointments by 40%, gone on by 40%, contracts signed by 40%, because not every single listing you take, for instance, is selling right now. Not every buyer you show homes to is buying right now. So that's the biggest thing we should be taking into consideration. We shouldn't be waiting until January 5th to start. We should be starting to operate from our plan right now.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. It is, and I'm sure people are going, wow, that sounds like hard work. Guess what? What we do every day is hard work, right? We might as well make it productive work and achieve the goals that we want and have the things that we want. And
just as hard as it is to work hard, it's just as hard if you've never been. It's very hard to be poor, right? So you can choose your hard, right? You can choose to be a hard worker and have everything you want in life, or you can choose to not be a hard worker and be poor and try to figure out how to maneuver that.
Yeah. Then there's look, we know the gold's in the follow-up. Jeff gave you a very specific plan for those first initial 3 days. I want to clarify one thing he said. He didn't say that he throws those leads away. What he does is those leads get followed up on forever.
Yeah.
They get followed up forever, but it's with systems and processes.
Yeah, we're out. We're physically out at that moment.
Yeah.
After the 3 days.
Yeah, what a lot of teams do, they have their ISAs take over, they have their CRM with all their campaigns and triggers to try to get consumers to respond. And
that's right.
At times they'll go back and have call nights and call the old leads and do all those things. So
exactly. Yep. We do all that.
All those things. Sometimes agents hear what they want to hear. I only have to call for 3 days and never follow up again. No.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, 3 calls, 3 texts, 3 emails is a lot in itself. And if you just take me up on that, you will see an absolute increase in your conversion of any leads.
You'll have fewer people to follow up with because you'll get a hold of more of them.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
Well, Jeremiah, any other questions pop up?
There's one about days on market dictates value. The home sold, what would be your best recommendation if there's sellers you're trying to sell fast at the right price? Price it right out of the gate?
Well, yes. And I'm making sure every single appointment I go on, I'm sharing with them that one of 3 things will happen once we take the listing, because you don't know. And I'll say this to a seller every single time. I don't know your home's true value until we put it out there and see how buyers respond. And buyers are going to respond in one of 3 ways. We're either going to get a lot of interest, a lot of showings, and that means we priced it right and we market it properly, number 1. Or number 2, we're going to get some interest and little to no offers. And that means we're in the ballpark, but we might be maybe 3 to 5% too high. Or number 3, if we have little to no interest at all, that means we've definitely overpriced it, probably about 5 to 7% too high. The reality is we won't know the value until we put it out there and see how buyers respond. So I'm always setting myself up for an out in case I'm wrong, in case it doesn't sell, or if it sells fast. What's so fascinating about this market, and I know Chris, Jeremiah, you guys have been through this before. In the last market, sellers were PO'd when their home didn't sell in 5 minutes. Like, how do we not have multiple offers or multiple showings? In this new market, watch this. They're mad if their home sells in 5 minutes. How do we have all this interest already? I thought the market was slowing down. You underpriced my house. And so that's why it's important to share those three things. And when I put in there number one, if we get a lot of interest up front, that means we priced it right and we marketed it properly. So that way you're not getting that call within the first few days.
Yep, love it. All right, so Jeremiah, I know you're going to wrap it up before we do. Jeff, thank you so much for doing this, taking the time, giving everyone a great gift for the holidays, which is a lot of good tactics and techniques that they need to implement to have a great 2024.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. It's my life's work. I love doing this stuff.
So if you're on here still, go to the bottom and then find that reactions button. And I see some of you already doing it. If you did it, do it again. Give Jeff a thumbs up, a clap, a high five, a heart, something so that he knows, because we don't see all of you. But there you go, Jeff. You're impacting hundreds of lives today. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you for taking the time. Plug into Jeff's stuff. Check out Glover U. Join him at the summit. It's likely that one of us will be there to meet you. Last thing. In the wrap-up email today, there's going to be a link to a learning management system that will give you some great information on the new cash offer seller leads that we are sending out at Ojo. It's a training on how we're generating the leads, what the prospect is being told before they're connected to you, how to work with that lead, what the best scripts are, how to find cash offer partners in your local market to be able to fulfill what that person is looking for. Take that training. If you finish it in the next 24 hours, you'll be entered into a drawing to win some merch from the team here at Ojo. So,
hey, we're also going to give away a ticket to Jeff's conference too.
All right. We're also going to give away a ticket to Jeff's conference, only if you're still on the webinar and you take the training. So that's it. Final masterclass. Couldn't think of a better way to end 2023. Thanks so much, Mr. Glover. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. This has been tremendous. You all have a great, powerful, productive rest of the month, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
See you guys.